Oh, hey there! Welcome to Spatialized. My name's Clement, and today I'm going to be showing you how I built this budget-friendly floating bed with just some good old dimensional lumber I got from my home center. I also added some motion-activated LED lights behind the headboard and at the base, which you can also control with an app on your phone to change the color or use different lighting effects. So if you'd like to see me do this step by step, then stick around. Let's go! Oh wait, maybe first I need to get some coffee. Now that I have my coffee, it was time to take a quick glance over my chicken scratches of a plan, which consists of lines, rectangles, scribbles, some numbers. But trust me, I think it's all gonna make sense. So let's get started. I got 10 2x8x8 boards from my local home center. Then it was time to cut down all the pieces for the base down to size. I used my miter saw to cut 2 pieces at 33 inches, 2 pieces at 36 inches, and 2 pieces at 60 inches to make up the base of the bed. The 36-inch pieces make up the top and bottom, the 33 make up the middle, and the 2 61s make up the sides. Then it was back to the miter saw to cut up the pieces for the top frame that would sit on the bottom frame, and the cut sizes for these were 57¼ inches, 2 of those, and 4 pieces at 75 inches. The 2 57¼ boards would make up the top and bottom, while the 4 75-inch boards would make up the sides and the middle sections. So later we'll come back and actually rip the 2 middle pieces down to 4½ inches, and then take the offcuts, which are going to be 2¼ inches, and screw them to both sides, allowing us to add slats that will not only rest in the middle but also on the sides. It will also be inset slightly, allowing for a full-size mattress to lay comfortably and snug within the frame. Now back to the build. I decided to pre-drill and countersink 3 holes into each of the 4 corners of the base frame before taking all the boards upstairs to their final destination, where they would be assembled with 3-inch screws. And just like that, the assembly of the base frame is complete after fastening each of the corners and the middle boards with 3-inch screws. And I also made sure everything was nice and square, of course. Went back to the shop to rip the 2 middle pieces from the top frame to 4½ inches, and remembering to keep the 2¼ inch offcuts that will be screwed to the sideboards to help hold the slats, as I mentioned earlier. And once that was done, it was time to go back upstairs and complete the assembly of the top frame using the same process I did for the base frame. Here's what the top frame looks like, assembled at all four corners. And after screwing in the middle two boards, remember that our middle boards are 4.5 inches wide, which will allow us to add on some slats, which will rest on those two middle boards. And here are the two offcuts that we cut earlier, which are 2.25 inches wide and screwed to the sideboards, which the slats will also be resting on in addition to the middle boards. I ended up with 14 slats from 3/4 inch material that was already lying around in my shop, each measuring 54 1/8 and by 3.5 inches. With the slats on, you can see the inset where the mattress will lay on, dropping down a couple of inches for a snug fit. So up to now, the top frame is sitting on the base frame as a test fit, and so are the slats. So we just need to remove them so we can secure everything together, and that's what we're going to do now. But before that, and after spending about 30 minutes looking for my tape measure, I had to come back and kind of make some measurements on both sides to make sure everything was going to be equally spaced. I mean, after all, we are spatialized. To secure the top frame to the bottom frame, I got one of these gizmos and decided to throw it at the frame and see what would happen. Well, one turned into 9 and they all screwed themselves, securing the top frame to the bottom frame. I gotta say, I had my doubts at first, but these Simpson strong ties, aka hurricane ties, seem to be holding up very well. I mean, if they could help withstand a hurricane, well, I think they could help support a bed as well. But the real test was going to make sure that this frame would be stable and wouldn't tip over, and for that I needed some extra help. After passing the stability test, I had my son go around the whole frame and fill in all the screw holes with wood filler. To add a cool factor, I decided to add some top side rails and a footboard top rail as well, all of which are 3/4 inch thick material with a footboard top rail measuring 54.5 inches by 5.25 inches, while the top side rails are 82 inches by 5.25 inches. At this point, they're just clamped on to test the fit, but later we'll be securing them to the frame using L brackets and flat brackets as well. For the headboard, I used 8 pieces at 62 inches by 4 7/16 inches, and these were all 3/4 inch material. I also routed the edges with 45-degree chamfers to give it a real cool look and give it some dimension. To hold the pieces together, I cut up 3 other pieces at 33.25 inches by 1 3/4 inches and pretty much put 2 to the side and 1 in the middle and just glued them up and screwed them all together. With that done, the only thing that was remaining now was to add some legs so that way the headboard would be able to stand. And for that, I used 2x4s measuring 50 9/16 by 3 3/8 inches. Applied some wood glue on each one and placed them about 21 inches from both outer edges. And finally, I used a bunch of screws to just screw them to the back of the headboard, and that was pretty much it. Oh, and one thing to mention is that the distance from the bottom of the legs to the bottom of the headboard should be 15.5 inches. And with that, I tested the placement of the headboard, which I gotta say is looking pretty good. So later on, we'll come back and add some fabric upholstery to the back of the headboard and just screw it onto the frame. So at this point, we're pretty much ready to start applying the finish. So after sanding the 3 top rails with 80, 120, and 220 grit sandpaper, I went ahead and tested using a jet black stain to see how it would look. I stained both the top and bottom until I got the perfect color that I was looking for, and yeah, came out pretty good. Satisfied with the results, it was time to do the same to the rest of the bed frame, but it needed a lot of sanding, so I needed to get an assistant to help me out with that. So the framing for the bed is pretty much all complete at this point. The very bottom frame, it measures a complete length of 63 inches and complete width of 36 inches, with the front and the back boards measuring 36 inches and the sideboards measuring 60 inches, and the two in the middle are measuring 33 inches. And they're all attached together with 3-inch nails on each of the joining points there. And yeah, so that about covers it for the bottom frame there. And the top frame measures a length of 78 inches, a width of 57 inches, with the boards in the front and the back measuring 57 inches. And the two in the middle here are 75 inches, as well as the one in the corners there. Both corners have a thinner piece, which measures also 75 inches. And we have one on each side. That is pretty much where all the slats will be screwed on as well, just for added stability, and also the two supports in the middle there. And those are all actually different sizes. Pretty much the ones in the center there are 4.5 inches. And the ones on the corners, on the sides, those are 2.25 inches. And they're all going down a little bit, so that way it gives enough space for the mattress. So when the mattress actually sits on the slats, there's going to be some additional space there, so that way the mattress doesn't have to worry about kind of sliding off. Since this is going to be a kid's bed, I want to make sure that everything is going to be as secure and safe as possible. I joined the bottom frame to the top frame by using a series of hurricane ties, I guess that's what they're called. Saw a lot of people using them and they seem to work pretty good. So I used about 9 of them all together in the different areas. As you can see here. And so 9 of them total. And I also had to put another one, a little wooden block over there for measuring like 5 inches by 9 inches, just for added security, safety. But yeah, I probably don't even need that, but that's what I had going in the beginning, so I went ahead with that before I put the hurricane ties there, or straps, whatever they're called. But I'll put a link for them on the description as well. But yeah, that's kind of sums it up for the actual frames on the bed. And here is the headboard. Yeah, so for the headboard, as you can see here, I went with about 8 boards, about 4 7/16 wide and 62 inches long, with a little chamfer on both sides along all 8 of them. This is the back of the headboard, of course. Then I put some supports from the sides, one in the side, on each side, and then one in the middle there. Those are about 1 3/4 and 33 1/4 inch, 1 3/4 and 33 1/4 inch long. So, and put a lot of screws on there. Probably didn't have to go that far, but hey, I wanted some extra safety there and security, and also some 2x2 long ones here in the middle too. These ones will actually join to the bottom here in the bed. Just for, it's actually freestanding, but again, for extra safety, I will also bolt that to the bottom frame. And those ones are about 50 and 9/16 of an inch long and 3 3/8 wide. But again, just wanted to make them a little bit longer and thicker so that way, and it also lines up at the bottom correctly. And I'll have all those exact dimensions as well, so that way, in case you're trying to make this, everything's gonna line up properly. But yeah, so that is the headboard, and it's probably just gonna be painted. In the back, I just put probably some black fabric as well, and yeah. The distance between the bottom frame and the backboard at the very back is about 13.5 inches. For your reference. And on the sides, you have about 9.25 inches. And going back to the headboard, it rises about 15.5 inches from the floor, from the ground to the bottom of the headboard. There is about 15.5 inches. And that's important when you're going to line it up with the back here and have it sit flush, about flush to the very top here. And as far as the slats are concerned, you'll need about 14 of these. These are roughly 3.5 inches wide, and approximately they are about 54 1/8 inch long. So about 14 of these should do you pretty well with giving you a gap about probably, a 1/4 inch, give and take. But yeah, so pretty much that's all it is. Pretty simple. Yeah, so pretty much all that remains now is pretty much staining all the visible areas, and even the slats too. Probably paint those black, just so everything's kind of in line. But yeah, my son wanted to have everything in black, so that's what we're going to do with the headboard, as well as the rest of the visible parts of the frame. So that's what you're going to see next. It's looking beautiful though. Oh, and I also forgot, so for the side rails, there's some couple of pieces, one for each side. And those measure about 82 inches by 5.25 inch wide. And for the back, it is measuring, and for the backboard, it is measuring 54.5 inches by, again, 5.25 inch wide. And yeah, there you go. After staining everything and letting it dry, it was time to put a seal on it. And with that, I went with a homemade wipe-on poly. Mixed the satin polyurethane very well, then mixed 1 cup with 1 cup of mineral spirits for a 1-to-1 ratio. Took some time to shake it up really, really well. Then set it down to let all the bubbles fizz away. And after that, it was ready to use. poured a small batch into the jar I'll be using to apply from. Put on the first coat, waited a couple hours, then applied the second coat. So I went ahead and I put on the first 2 coats of wipe-on poly on both the headboard and the side rails. And right after that, I'm going to start sanding between coats. So right now I'm going to go ahead and sand before I start the third coat. I'm going to use 320 grit paper. And after the third coat, I'm going to use 400 grit paper. And after the fourth, I'm going to use 600. And after my fifth one, I will top it off with using 2000. And 2000 is really going to give it that fine, smooth, glassy feel at the very end. If you don't have 2000, you can use something like those lunch bags, those brown bags that you buy at the store. If you have some already, that's a good way to use that as well. But yeah, that's the plan. This puppy will be done pretty soon. After the fifth and final coat, it was time to lay down the 14 slats I had previously cut, all measuring 62 inches by 4 7/16 inches. And this is where the mattress will lay snug without having to move side to side. To further secure the slats, I cut up 2 2-inch pieces of webbing extending the length of the whole bed and stapled them to each one of the slats, 2 staples each on each side. And then we'll come back later and add some dowels in the front and the back to hold the slats together so that they don't move around. But first we're actually going to roll up the slats so that way we have enough space to access the base frame so we could add the LED lights. To put a nice touch to the headboard, I went ahead and I got some fabric upholstery and pretty much just stapled it to the back. Later we'll come back and we actually add some additional LED lights on top of this fabric, which it being black will reflect well when the light bounces off of this and off the wall. Back to the slats, I went ahead and I drilled some holes on the middle boards on both sides, in the back and the front, to go ahead and allow us to add some dowels. This will prevent the slats from moving back and forth, and it will just help to keep them in place. On the next step, we went ahead and actually glued the top side rails and the footboard top rail into position and started to use a series of L brackets to screw them all in place. So there were 4 on each side and 3 in the back. Then I secured the footboard top rail to the top side rails to keep them flush and aligned, using flat brackets, 1 on each side. And I gotta say, I'm really happy about how these top rails turned out. Now just look at that, it's beautiful. And just look how that grain pops in that glassy finish. Now with the build almost done, it was time to throw a carpet on the ground that was just the right size to hold the base, and so that way we can protect the floor, the beautiful floor, from any scratches from the wood. We placed the bed frame onto the carpet and pulled in the headboard and basically started screwing each leg with 4 screws, 2 on top and 2 on the bottom, both going on the top frame and on the base frame. And just like that, the build is complete. Next up is just tossing on the mattress and it's done. Wow, just look at that. Oh, hey there. Anyway, thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed watching me build this beautiful floating bed and you would like to see me build more projects like these, please feel free to subscribe so that way you don't miss any more of my upcoming projects. But until then, take care.